Sensor technician Yilma rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the monitor screen again. The green dots showed normal space traffic in Sector 7 Alpha, 3 cargo ships moving between mining colonies, 2 patrol vessels on routine duty. Everything looked normal for another quiet night shift aboard the monitoring station. She took a sip of her bitter caffeine drink and checked the time. Only 2 hours left until her shift ended. Yilma had been doing this job for 3 years now. Watching. Empty space got boring fast. Most nights nothing happened except the same old ships following the same old routes. The screen beeped once, then twice. A new dot appeared at the edge of the sector map. Yilma frowned and leaned forward. The dot was moving fast, very fast. She ran a quick check on the ship's identification code. Nothing came up. The computer showed no match in the database. That was strange. Every ship in the galaxy had to be registered with the Zephyrian Empire. It was the law. No exceptions. Yilma tried the search again, thinking maybe she made a mistake. Still nothing. She felt her heart beat faster. In 3 years of watching the screens, this had never happened before. Every ship always had a code. Always. Yilma opened a communication, channeled to the other monitoring stations in nearby sectors. Station 7 Beta, this is Station 7 Alpha. Are you seeing anything unusual on your screens? The reply came back quickly. Negative 7 Alpha. All normal here. Why do you ask? I have an unknown contact moving through my sector. No identification code on file. There was a pause. Run your systems check again. Probably just a glitch. Yilma ran the check. All systems showed green. Everything was working fine. She looked back at the screen. The unknown ship was still there, still moving at incredible speed. She calculated its velocity and her eyes went wide. The ship was traveling 40% faster than the theoretical maximum speed for any known engine type. That was impossible. The best Zephyrian military ships could not move that fast. Her hands shook as she reached for the emergency communication button. This was way above her pay grade. She needed to contact Admiral Kethavar Zol immediately. The Admiral's face appeared on her screen a few minutes later. He looked annoyed at being woken up in the middle of the night cycle. This better be important. Technician, Admiral Zol growled. His gray uniform was wrinkled and his eyes were tired. Sir, I have an unregistered vessel in Sector 7 Alpha. No identification code, moving at impossible speeds. Admiral Zol's expression changed from annoyed to interested. Show me. Yilma transferred the data to his screen. She watched his face as he studied the information. His eyes got wider as he read the speed calculations. You checked for system errors? He asked. Yes, sir. 3 times. Everything is working correctly. Admiral Zol was quiet for a long moment. He had served in the Zephyrian fleet for over 200 years. He had seen many strange things in space. But this was different. This made no sense. Contact stations. 6 Alpha, 8 Alpha, and 7 Beta. I want confirmation from multiple sources, he ordered. Yilma sent the request. Within minutes, all 3 stations reported the same thing. Unknown vessel, no identification code, impossible speed. Admiral Zol felt cold fear creep up his spine. In all his years of service, every ship in known space had been catalogued and tracked. The Empire's computer systems contained information on every spacefaring race and every vessel they had ever built. This ship existed in none of their records. Sir, Yilma's voice was shaky. The vessel just changed course. It's heading toward the inner systems. Admiral Zol stood up from his desk. Alert the fleet. I want every available ship moving toward Sector 7 Alpha now. Should I contact the Galactic Council? Yilma asked. The Admiral paused. Contacting the Council would mean admitting that something existed outside their knowledge. It would mean admitting that their perfect system of control had a hole in it. But if this unknown ship was a threat, the other races needed to know. Yes. Send them everything we have. Mark it as urgent priority. Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command chair of the exploration vessel Terra's Pride. He was excited. This was humanity's first deep space mission beyond their own solar system. After 5 years of developing faster-than-light travel, they were finally ready to explore the galaxy. "How are we doing, Amy?" he asked his navigation officer. "Lieutenant." Amy Rodriguez checked her instruments. "All systems green, Captain. We're making good time, should reach the target system in 6 hours." Dr. Sam Peterson looked up from his science station. "I'm picking up some interesting energy readings from nearby systems. Looks like there might be other intelligent life out here." Captain Morrison smiled. "That's what we came to find. Keep monitoring those signals, Doc. Maybe we'll make some new friends." None of the humans knew that their ship had already been detected. They had no idea that their peaceful exploration mission had caused panic across multiple star systems. They did not know that alien fleets were mobilizing to intercept them. Back on the monitoring station, Yilma watched more and more ships appear on her screen. Zephyrian cruisers, destroyers, and battleships, all converging on the unknown vessels. "Projected path, sir," she reported to Admiral Zoll. "Fleet deployment is complete. 27 ships in intercept formation." Admiral Zoll nodded grimly. "Good. And the other races?" "The Altarians are sending 12 ships. The Vegan Republic has dispatched their 3rd fleet. Even the Centauri Collective is mobilizing their border guard." The Admiral looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of ships from dozens of different races were moving toward one target, all because of a single unknown vessel that should not exist. "What are you?" he whispered, staring at the lone dot on the screen. "Where did you come from?" The dot continued moving through space, unaware of the massive military response it had triggered. Inside that small ship, 3 humans continued their peaceful mission, excited about the possibility of meeting other intelligent life. They would get their wish soon enough. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Civilization Council had never been called so fast. High Counselor Murthak stood at the center of the great circular chamber, his forearms gesturing wildly as he spoke to representatives from 47 different star systems. "An unknown vessel has appeared in Zephyrian space," he announced. "No identification codes, no match in any database. The ship uses technology we do not understand." Worried voices filled the chamber. The Altarian delegate, a tall, blue-skinned being, stood up. "How is this possible? Every spacefaring race has been cataloged for over 3,000 years. General Vextar, the Zephyrian military commander, activated a holographic display in the center of the room. The image showed the path of the mysterious ship through space. The vessel appeared at the edge of Sector 7 Alpha 12 hours ago, he explained. "It moves 40% faster than our best ships. Our sensors cannot identify the hull material or engine type." A reptilian delegate from the Draconis system hissed softly. "Could this be a new weapon? A scout ship from an enemy we have not discovered?" High Counselor Murthak nodded gravely. "That is our greatest fear. We have mobilized fleets from 6 different empires to intercept this vessel. We must know what we are dealing with." Far away from the council chamber, Captain Jake Morrison was having a very different kind of meeting. He sat around the small table in Terra's Pride's dining area with his 3 crew members, eating breakfast and discussing their mission. "The energy readings are getting stronger," Dr. Sam Peterson said between bites of synthetic eggs. "I think we're getting close to inhabited systems." Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez pulled up a star chart on her tablet. "According to our calculations, we should reach the target system in 4 hours. If there are intelligent beings there, this will be the most important day in human history." Commander Lisa Park, the ship's diplomatic officer, smiled with excitement. "I've been preparing first, contact protocols for months. I have translation programs ready and gift packages prepared." Captain Morrison nodded. "Remember, everyone, we represent all of humanity out here. We need to make a good first impression." None of them noticed the dozens of alien ships that were slowly surrounding their position. The human sensors were not designed to detect the advanced stealth technology used by the galactic fleets. On the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar Zoll studied the tactical display. His ships were in position, along with vessels from 5 other races. They had created a perfect trap around the unknown ship's projected path. "Sir," reported his communications officer. "The vessel is slowing down. It appears to be conducting some kind of scan of the nearby star system." Admiral Zoll felt his stomach tighten. "Scanning for what? Military installations? Weak points in our defenses?" "Unknown, sir. The scanning pattern does not match any known military reconnaissance protocol." The Admiral made his decision. "All ships move to intercept positions. Activate full shields and charge weapons. Do not fire unless fired upon, but be ready." Captain Morrison was looking through the observation window when Lieutenant Rodriguez called out from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. They're coming from all directions." Morrison hurried to the bridge. "How many ships?" "At least 30, sir. Maybe more. They're using some kind of advanced stealth technology that's interfering with our sensors." Dr. Peterson looked up from his science console. "Captain, these ships are huge. Much larger than anything we could build. And the energy signatures are completely different from our technology." Commander Park felt her heart racing with excitement and fear. "This is it. First contact. Captain, we need to follow protocol." Morrison nodded and sat in his command chair. "Open a communication channel on all frequencies. Let's introduce ourselves." The message went out across space in dozens of different languages and mathematical formulas. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Terra's Pride. We come in peace from the planet Earth. We seek friendship and knowledge. Please respond." On the Zephyrian flagship, the communications officer looked confused. "Sir, we're receiving a message from the unknown vessel, but the language is not in our database." "Play it," Admiral Zoll ordered. The bridge filled with the sound of Jake Morrison's voice speaking in English. None of the aliens understood the words, but they could hear the calm, friendly tone. "Run it through the universal translator," the Admiral commanded. Moments later, the translated message played back. Admiral Zoll's eyes widened in shock. "Earth? That planet is not in any of our star charts, and what does he mean by first contact?" The communications officer was working frantically at his station. "Sir, I'm cross-referencing the term Earth with all known databases. No matches found. This planet does not exist in our records." General Vextar's voice came through the communication system from his own ship. "Admiral, are you hearing this? They claim to be from an unknown world." This could be some kind of trick, Admiral Zoll thought quickly. If these beings were telling the truth, then they had discovered a completely unknown civilization. If they were lying, it could be part of an elaborate attack plan. "All ships maintain position," he ordered. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Kethvar, Sol of the Zephyrian Empire. You have entered regulated space without proper authorization. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." On Terra's Pride, Commander Park listened to the translation of the alien response. Her excitement grew even stronger. "Captain, they're responding. We've made contact with an alien empire." Captain Morrison smiled. "Open the channel again. Tell them we're happy to meet them and that we want to establish peaceful relations." But as more alien ships decloaked around them, Dr. Peterson noticed something troubling on his sensors. "Captain," he said quietly, "all of these ships have their weapons powered up. I don't think they're as happy to see us as we are to see them." Morrison's smile faded as he realized they might be in serious trouble. What had started as humanity's greatest adventure might be turning into something much more dangerous. The alien fleets continued to close in, and the future of human civilization hung in the balance around one small exploration ship that had wandered into a much larger and more dangerous galaxy than anyone on Earth had ever imagined. The boarding shuttles approached Terra's Pride from multiple directions. Captain Jake Morrison watched through the bridge windows as the alien craft attached themselves to his ship's hull with mechanical arms and docking tubes. "Remember," he told his crew, "we're ambassadors for Earth. Stay calm and follow their lead." Commander Lisa Park clutched her diplomatic files tightly. "I have prepared peaceful greeting ceremonies from Earth's major cultures. Hopefully one of them will seem appropriate." Dr. Sam Peterson was still studying his sensor readings. "Captain, these beings are technologically advanced beyond anything we imagined. Some of their ships are over 2 miles long." The airlock hissed open and the first alien stepped aboard. Captain Morrison had expected something dramatic, but the creatures looked surprisingly ordinary. The leader was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. His uniform was clean and military in style. "I am Admiral Kethavar Zol of the Zephyrian Empire," the alien said through a translation device. "You will come with us for processing and interrogation." Commander Park stepped forward. "Greetings, Admiral. I am Commander Lisa Park, diplomatic representative of Earth. We request formal diplomatic immunity under standard first contact protocols." Admiral Zol looked confused. "First contact protocols? What are you talking about? All civilizations follow the same established procedures for space travel. You have violated those procedures." "We don't know about any procedures," Captain Morrison said honestly. "This is our first time leaving our solar system. We didn't know there were rules." The alien soldiers behind Admiral Zol whispered among themselves in their own language. Morrison could see shock and disbelief on their faces. Admiral Zol studied the humans carefully. "You claim this is your first interstellar voyage? That is impossible. Your ship uses advanced technology that should take centuries to develop." Dr. Peterson spoke up. "Actually, sir, we only achieved faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. Our team of scientists worked together to solve the problem using a new approach to space-time manipulation." The Admiral's translator struggled with some of the technical terms. "Show me," he demanded. Dr. Peterson looked at Captain Morrison, who nodded. The scientist led the aliens to the engine room where Dr. Kate Williams was running system checks on the main drive. "This is Dr. Kate Williams," Peterson explained. "She designed our faster-than-light engine." Dr. Williams looked up from her work. She was a small woman with short brown hair and oil stains on her hands. "Oh, hello. Are you the aliens we detected on our sensors?" Admiral Zol stared at her. "You designed this propulsion system?" "Well, I led the team," Dr. Williams said modestly. "It took us 3 years to figure out how to fold space-time properly. The key was using quantum field generators instead of traditional antimatter engines." The Admiral's translator made strange noises as it tried to process her explanation. The alien scientists who had come aboard with him were taking detailed scans of the engine room. "This technology is completely unknown to us," one of them reported. "The design principles are unlike anything in our databases." Admiral Zol felt deeply troubled. In 200 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. These humans seemed friendly and honest, but their technology was somehow more advanced than civilizations that had been spacefaring for thousands of years. "You will all come with us to Zephyr Prime for detailed questioning," he announced. "Are we under arrest?" Captain Morrison asked. "You are persons of interest," the Admiral replied carefully. The journey to Zephyr Prime took 2 days. The humans were kept on their own ship, but Zephyrian guards watched them constantly. Dr. Williams was separated from the others and taken to a different vessel for intensive questioning about human technology. Interrogator Prime. Zelnoth was the Empire's best at getting information from reluctant subjects. But Dr. Williams was not reluctant. She answered every question honestly and even offered to explain things in more detail. "Your species developed faster than light travel in only 5 years?" Zelnoth asked for the 3rd time. "Yes," Dr. Williams replied patiently. "Once we figured out the basic principles, the engineering was straightforward. We had good computers and plenty of smart people working on the problem. But according to our models, such development should take at least 200 years for a new spacefaring race." Dr. Williams shrugged. "Maybe we just thought about it differently. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps solve old problems." Zelnoth studied the technical diagrams that Williams had drawn for him. The human designs were elegant and efficient in ways that baffled him. These people had somehow skipped centuries of normal technological development. Meanwhile, on Zephyr Prime, the Galactic Council was meeting in emergency session again. High Counselor Murthak paced nervously as reports came in from the interrogation teams. "The humans appear to be telling the truth," General Vextar reported. "Their planet, Earth, is located in what we call the Dead Zone. No one has ever explored that region because it appeared to have no intelligent life. And their technology?" asked the Altarian delegate. "Revolutionary. They have developed propulsion systems that are 30% more efficient than our best designs. Their energy management is also superior. A worried silence filled the council chamber. The Draconis representative finally spoke. So we have discovered a young race with advanced technology that we do not understand. What does this mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? High Counselor Murthak stopped pacing. It means everything has changed. For 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire has controlled galactic civilization through superior technology and military force. If these humans can develop better technology in just 5 years, what will they create in 10 years? Or 50? The implications were terrifying. Every established power in the galaxy depended on the current technological balance. If humans could innovate faster than anyone else, they might soon become the dominant force in space. What do you recommend? Asked the council. General Vextar's expression was grim. We have 3 options. We can try to control them through treaties and regulations. We can try to learn from them and improve our own technology. Or, he left the third option unspoken, but everyone understood. They could try to eliminate the human threat before it became too dangerous. Back on Terra's Pride, Captain Morrison was trying to contact Earth to report their situation. But the Zephyrian ships were jamming all communications. The humans were trapped in a galaxy that suddenly seemed much more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Back on Earth, Admiral Grace Thompson stood in the command center of the Global Space Defense Headquarters. Red warning lights flashed across multiple computer screens as technicians worked frantically at their stations. How long since we lost contact with Terra's Pride? She asked her communications officer. 48 hours, Admiral. Their last transmission mentioned detecting other ships in the area. President Kevin Collins walked into the command center looking worried. Grace, what's the situation? Admiral Thompson turned to face him. Sir, we have to assume Captain Morrison and his crew are in trouble. They were supposed to check in every 12 hours. We've heard nothing. Dr. Ryan Foster, the director of Earth Space Defense Initiative, pulled up a holographic display showing their solar system. I've been monitoring deep space communications. There's a lot of chatter coming from the direction Jake was heading. Multiple alien civilizations are talking about something urgent. President Collins felt his stomach drop. Are we talking about a hostile situation? Unknown, sir. But I recommend we send help immediately. Admiral Thompson nodded. I agree. We have 12 ships ready for launch. The fleet can be in space within 6 hours. The president looked at the tactical display showing Earth's small but advanced fleet. Each ship was equipped with the same revolutionary technology that powered Terra's Pride. Do it, he ordered. Bring our people home. 6 hours later, the human fleet launched from Earth orbit. Commander Nicole Davis stood on the bridge of the flagship Liberty's Dawn, watching as 11 other vessels formed up around her ship. All ships report ready for jump, her navigation officer announced. Take us out, Commander Davis ordered. The 12 human ships vanished from Earth space in brilliant flashes of light, traveling faster than any alien civilization thought possible. 3. Days later, the human fleet appeared at the edge of Zephyrian space. Their arrival was detected immediately by the same monitoring stations that had first spotted Terra's Pride. Sensor technician Yilma stared at her screen in disbelief. 12 ships, all using the same unknown technology, all moving at impossible speeds. Admiral Kethvar Zol was called to the monitoring station within minutes. When he saw the display, his face went pale. They came back, he whispered, and they brought friends. The human fleet moved in perfect formation toward Zephyr Prime. Their ships were smaller than the massive alien battleships, but they moved, with precision and grace that impressed even their enemies. Commander Davis opened a communication channel to all alien forces in the area. This is Admiral Grace Thompson of the United Earth Defense Force. We demand the immediate release of our diplomatic mission and safe passage for all human personnel. The message was actually recorded by Admiral Thompson back on Earth, but the aliens didn't know that. To them, it sounded like Earth had sent one of their top military leaders. Admiral Zol received the message on his flagship. How did they get here so fast? He asked his staff. It should have taken weeks to organize a response fleet. His intelligence officer looked confused. Sir, according to our analysis, these humans achieved faster-than-light travel only 5 years ago. How can they field such an organized military response? The answer was simple but terrifying to the aliens. Humans were naturally good at working together in crisis situations. When one of their own was in danger, they responded quickly and effectively. On Zephyr Prime, High Counselor Murthak was holding another emergency meeting, but this time the atmosphere was pure panic. 12 ships have appeared in our space, General Vextar reported. They're demanding the release of the human prisoners. How many ships do we have in the area? Asked the Altarian delegate. Over 200 from 6 different empires, but these human ships are demonstrating capabilities we didn't know existed. General Vextar activated a holographic display showing the tactical situation. The human fleet was surrounded by alien vessels, but something was wrong with the picture. Watch this, he said, playing back sensor recordings from the past hour. The display showed one of the human ships suddenly vanishing from its position and reappearing behind 3 Zephyrian cruisers. Then it jumped again, appearing on the opposite side of the formation. They can make precision jumps in normal space, General Vextar explained. Our ships cannot do that. We can only jump between star systems, not during combat. The council members looked horrified. If humans could teleport their ships during battle, traditional fleet tactics would be useless against them. Commander Davis was indeed demonstrating her fleet's capabilities, but she was doing it without firing a single shot. Each precision jump was carefully calculated to avoid any aggressive action, while still showing the aliens what human ships could do. Sir, her tactical officer reported, the alien fleets are repositioning. They're trying to surround us with a tighter formation. Let them, Commander Davis replied calmly. We're not here to fight. We're here to get our people back. She opened the communication channel again. Alien vessels, we have no desire for conflict. Release our crew and we will leave peacefully. Continue to hold them and we will demonstrate more of our capabilities. Back on Terra's Pride, Captain Morrison and his crew were watching the situation unfold through the porthole windows. They could see the human ships moving through space like dancers, easily avoiding the alien vessels that tried to intercept them. Our cavalry has arrived, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez said with relief. Dr. Sam Peterson was studying the tactical display. The aliens had left active in their meeting room. Look at this. Our ships are completely outmaneuvering them. The aliens can't touch us. Commander Lisa Park smiled. Earth didn't just send a rescue mission. They sent a message. And the message was clear. Humanity might be new to space, but they were not helpless. Their technology was superior, their tactics were effective, and they would protect their own. Admiral Zoll stood on his bridge, watching the human ships move through his fleet formation like ghosts. For the first time in his 200-year career, he felt completely outmatched. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, High Command is asking for recommendations. Admiral Zoll looked at the tactical display one more time. The human fleet could have destroyed his ships at any time, but they chose not to. They were showing restraint and discipline even while demonstrating superior power. Tell High Command, he said slowly, that we should give them what they want. The Great Council chamber on Zephyr Prime had never been so quiet. High Counselor Murthak stood at the center of the room, but for the first time in his long career, he had no idea what to say. Admiral Kethvar Zoll entered the chamber and walked slowly to the speaker's platform. His gray uniform looked wrinkled and his face showed the stress of the past week. Honored council members, he began, I recommend we release the human prisoners immediately and open formal diplomatic talks. The Draconis representative hissed angrily. You want us to surrender to these newcomers? I want us to survive, Admiral Zoll replied bluntly. In 48 hours, these humans have shown us technology we cannot match and discipline we cannot break. They could have destroyed our entire fleet, but they chose not to. That shows wisdom. General Vextar nodded in agreement. The Admiral is right. We have 2 choices. We can make friends with these humans, or we can make enemies of them. I know which option I prefer. High Counselor Murthak looked around the room at the representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. He could see fear in their faces, but also curiosity. Very well, he announced. Release the humans. Arrange for immediate diplomatic contact. 2 hours later, Captain Jake Morrison and his crew were back aboard Terra's Pride. They sat in their small dining area, sharing a meal and talking about their strange experience. I still can't believe how fast Earth responded, Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez said. 12 ships in less than a week. Dr. Sam Peterson smiled. That's humanity for you. Someone threatens one of us, we all respond. Commander Lisa Park was already preparing for formal diplomatic meetings. This changes everything. We're not just explorers anymore, we're representatives of a major power. Captain Morrison looked out the porthole at the human fleet surrounding them. Commander Nicole Davis had positioned the ships in a defensive formation, but the aliens were keeping their distance. Major power, he repeated thoughtfully. I guess we are now. A communication request came through from the alien flagship. Admiral Zoll's face appeared on their screen, looking tired but respectful. Captain Morrison, on behalf of the Zephyrian Empire and the Galactic Council, I formally apologize for detaining you and your crew. We did not understand your peaceful intentions. Morrison smiled. Apology accepted, Admiral. We're all learning here. Indeed. High Counselor Murthak has requested a formal meeting with your leadership. He wishes to discuss establishing diplomatic relations between our civilizations. Commander Park leaned forward excitedly. We would be honored to arrange such a meeting. 3 days later, Secretary of Galactic Affairs Laura Henderson arrived at Zephyr Prime aboard a specially designed diplomatic vessel. She was accompanied by Ambassador Maria Santos and a small team of Earth's best negotiators. The meeting took place in a neutral space station that had been hastily prepared for the historic occasion. Representatives from 47 alien civilizations gathered to meet with the humans. Secretary Henderson stood before the assembled delegates, feeling the weight of representing all of humanity. She was a tall woman with gray hair and kind eyes, chosen for her years of experience in international diplomacy. Honorable delegates, she began, Earth extends greetings of friendship to all the civilizations represented here today. We come, seeking knowledge, trade, and peaceful cooperation. High Counselor Murthak responded for the Alien Alliance. We welcome Earth to the galactic community. Your people have shown remarkable technological advancement and admirable restraint. We look forward to learning from each other, but not everyone was ready to accept the new situation. The Altarian delegate stood up during the formal discussions. What guarantees do we have that humans will not use their superior technology against us? He demanded. Ambassador Santos answered calmly. The same guarantee you give us. Our word of honor and our mutual interest in peace. Dr. Kate Williams, who had been invited to the diplomatic mission, added her perspective. Our technology is not meant for war. We developed faster-than-light travel to explore and learn, not to conquer. Over the following weeks, formal treaties were signed. Earth became a founding member of the reformed Galactic Council. Trade agreements were established, with humans sharing some of their technological advances in exchange for alien knowledge and resources. But the most important change was psychological. The old order, where the Zephyrian Empire controlled everything through technological superiority, was finished. Now there was a new balance of power. Captain Eric Johnson, commander of Earth's new exploration program, stood on the bridge of his ship as it prepared to leave for unexplored regions of the galaxy. His mission was to find new civilizations and establish peaceful contact. Captain, his science officer reported, we're detecting energy signatures from 3 different star systems. Looks like we'll have plenty of new friends to meet. Johnson smiled. That's what we're here for. Take us to the nearest one. Back on Earth, President Kevin Collins addressed the world from the United Nations building. Behind him, a holographic display showed the galaxy with Earth's new territories and alliance partners clearly marked. 6 months ago, we were alone in the universe, he told the global audience.
Today we are members of a galactic community spanning thousands of worlds. This is just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. In the reformed Galactic Council chambers, Secretary Henderson was meeting with former Admiral Zoll, who
had requested a transfer to diplomatic service. You know, Zoll said thoughtfully, when we first detected your ship, we thought it meant the end of our civilization. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new and better one. Henderson smiled. Sometimes the best changes come from the most unexpected places. Across the galaxy, human exploration ships were making contact with civilizations that had never been part of the old empire. Many of these races eagerly joined the new alliance, attracted by humanity's promise of equality and cooperation instead of domination. The galaxy that had once feared the unknown ship from Earth now looked to humanity for leadership in building a better future. And as more human ships launched from Earth each month, carrying diplomats, scientists, and explorers to distant stars, it became clear that the age of human expansion had only just begun. The ship that had caused panic in the galactic empire had become the first step in humanity's journey to becoming the galaxy's greatest hope for peace and progress. The stars shimmered against the vast blackness of space as the Vexari scout ship cut silently through the void. Commander Kazark stood on the bridge, his scaled skin reflecting the glow of the control panels. His amber eyes narrowed as he studied the blue-green planet on the main screen. Another hunting ground, he growled to his second-in-command. This one looks promising. For thousands of years, the Vexari had ruled the galaxy as its ultimate predators. They had evolved from vicious pack hunters on their home world, with natural weapons that made them unstoppable. Razor-sharp claws, teeth that could tear through metal, enhanced senses, and incredible strength. Their entire civilization was built on a simple principle: the strong consume the weak. Zark had personally led the conquest of 12 worlds. The routine was always the same: scout the planet, assess the threat level, and prepare for harvest. His claws clicked against the metallic floor as he approached the data station. "Tell me about these humans," he said. The science officer, a younger Vexari with lighter scales, displayed the collected information on the screen. Physically weak, Commander. No natural armor, no claws, limited sensory capabilities. They require tools for everything. Kazark snorted. Another easy harvest, then. There is one unusual factor, the science officer added. They have no unified planetary government. They fight among themselves constantly. This made Kazark's mouth twist into what passed for a smile among his kind. Even better, divided prey is easy prey. Set course for closer observation. I want to capture a few specimens before we call in the main fleet. The Vexari ship accelerated toward the Sol system, passing the gas giants on the outer rim. They slowed as they approached the fifth planet from the sun, with its distinctive rings. Their cloaking technology had never failed them before. No species they had encountered had ever detected a Vexari scout ship. Lieutenant Jack Freeman yawned as he guided his patrol vessel through its regular route near Jupiter's orbit. At 32, Jack was considered one of the most experienced pilots in Earth's newly formed Space Defense Force. His small ship, though armed, was primarily designed for monitoring the early warning systems placed throughout the outer solar system. Another boring patrol, he muttered to himself, taking a sip of coffee from his insulated cup. The ship's computer ran continuous scans of the surrounding space, a precaution many of his colleagues considered excessive. Earth had never encountered alien life, though many believed it must exist somewhere in the vast universe. A soft beep from the console interrupted Jack's thoughts. "What's that?" he said, putting down his coffee and leaning forward. The scanner had detected an anomaly, a slight distortion in space about 50,000 kilometers away. The computer couldn't identify it, but something was definitely there. Jack's training kicked in. He opened a general broadcast channel. "Unidentified vessel near Jupiter's third moon. This is Earth Defense Patrol EP-117. Please identify yourself." No response came through his communications system. Jack repeated the message, on different frequencies, but the silence continued. The anomaly, however, was moving, adjusting its course to approach his position. Control, this is Lieutenant Freeman, Jack said, switching to his secure channel back to Earth. I've detected an unidentified object near my position. No response. To communications. Requesting instructions. The reply took nearly 8 minutes to reach him from Earth. The limitations of light-speed communications. Lieutenant Freeman, maintain observation distance and continue attempts at contact. Avoid any actions that could be perceived as aggressive. Jack acknowledged the order, but something felt wrong. The anomaly was now clearly moving toward him, accelerating. His scanner suddenly picked up an energy surge from the unidentified object. That's a weapons system powering up, Jack whispered, his heart racing. He had seconds to make a decision. The standard protocol was clear. Maintain peace, avoid confrontation. But Jack had spent enough time in space to trust his instincts, and every instinct he had was screaming danger. Jack fired up his engines and executed a sharp, evasive maneuver just as a burst of energy sliced through the space where his ship had been moments before. Without hesitation, he activated his ship's modest defensive systems and fired back. Commander Kazark couldn't believe what he was seeing. The primitive human vessel had not only detected their presence despite their advanced cloaking technology, but had also evaded their first attack. This was unprecedented. Impossible, he snarled. Their technology should be centuries behind ours. The science officer looked equally confused. The data must be wrong, Commander. They shouldn't have. Before he could finish, the ship rocked violently. Warning alarms blared throughout the bridge. We've been hit, the tactical officer shouted. The human weapon somehow penetrated our shields. Kazark steadied himself against his command chair. Return fire. Destroy that pest. The Vixari weapons officer fired again, but the human ship moved with unexpected agility, spinning and accelerating in patterns that made no sense, until Kazark realized with shock that they were watching a strategy unfold. The human wasn't just randomly dodging. He was drawing them into a position. Another impact rocked the scout ship. This time, the damage was significant. Engine systems damaged, reported the engineer. Shield generator failing. Kazark couldn't process what was happening. Their ship was technologically superior in every way. The humans were supposed to be primitive, easy prey. Retreat, he ordered, his voice low with humiliation. Back to safe distance. As the damaged scout ship limped away, Kazark stared at the view screen showing the small human vessel that had just accomplished what no species had done in centuries, fought back successfully against a Vixari attack. This changes everything, he said quietly. These humans are not like the others. Jack watched as the formerly invisible ship, now partially visible due to damage to what must be its cloaking system, retreated from the battle. His hands were, still shaking as he activated his communication system. Control, this is Lieutenant Freeman. You're not going to believe this, but I just engaged an alien spacecraft. He transmitted all the data he had collected during the brief, but intense battle. As he waited for Earth's response, Jack gazed out at the stars. The universe had just become a much more dangerous place, and humanity had just fought its first interstellar battle. What Jack couldn't know was that his quick thinking and unconventional tactics had just saved Earth from being classified as easy prey. The galaxy's most feared predators had just learned that this new species might be physically weaker, but they possessed something potentially more dangerous, the ability to outthink a superior enemy. Humanity was about to show the galaxy-wide predators should fear their prey. The news of Lieutenant Jack Freeman's encounter spread across Earth like wildfire. In just 24 hours, humanity learned they were not alone in the universe, and their first contact had been hostile. In Washington, D.C., President Samantha Howard stared at the images from Jack's ship displayed on the large screen in the White House Situation Room. The footage showed the brief battle and the alien ship's retreat. Around the table sat military leaders, scientists, and government officials, all silent as they processed what they were seeing. So it's real, President Howard finally said. We've made first contact and they shot first. Admiral Ben Carter, head of the Space Defense Force, nodded grimly. Lieutenant Freeman's quick thinking saved his life. If he had followed standard protocol and not fired back, we wouldn't even know what happened to him. "What can you tell us about these aliens?" the president asked, turning to a woman with gray-streaked hair pulled into a tight bun. Dr. Alice Winters, the nation's leading xenobiologist, stepped forward. Though she had spent her career theorizing about alien life, nothing had prepared her for actual contact. "From the limited visual data we have, they appear reptilian," she explained. The damaged sections of their ship revealed biological components mixed with mechanical ones. Their technology is far beyond ours. Paul Martinez, a NASA analyst with thick glasses and a rumpled shirt, raised his hand. "Madam President, we've detected similar energy signatures to their ship in other parts of the solar system. They're not alone." The room fell silent again. "How many?" Admiral Carter asked. "At least 7 ships, all maintaining distance just beyond Mars," Paul replied. "Based on their movement patterns, I believe they're waiting for something. Possibly reinforcements." President Howard stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people went about their day, unaware that everything had changed. "We need to tell the world," she said firmly. "And we need every nation working together. This isn't an American problem, it's a human problem." Within hours, leaders from every country received the same information. For the first time in human history, old enemies set aside their differences in the face of an external threat. The United Nations convened an emergency session, and the Earth Defense Initiative was born. Jack Freeman found himself suddenly famous as the first human to engage with alien life. Military officials debriefed him for hours, analyzing every second of the encounter. "I still don't understand how I damaged their ship," Jack explained to a room full of scientists and military personnel. "My weapons shouldn't have been able to penetrate their technology." Dr. Winters tapped her tablet. "We think it was luck, but useful luck. Your targeting computer happened to hit a junction between their biological and mechanical components, a weakness we couldn't have known about. These Vexari, as they call themselves, we intercepted some of their communications. They've never encountered resistance," Admiral Carter added. "That's why they weren't prepared for you to fight back." Jack frowned. "How do you know they're called Vexari? And how do you know they've never encountered resistance?" The Admiral exchanged glances with Dr. Winters before answering. "We captured something from the damaged ship, data packets. Dr. Winters' team has been translating them." Dr. Winters took over. "The Vexari are predators, Lieutenant. They've conquered hundreds of species across the galaxy. They don't just invade, they consume. Literally. We're not just facing invasion, we're facing harvest." Jack felt sick as the implications sank in. "How much time do we have?" "Based on the communications, we've intercepted. Their main fleet is months away," the Admiral said. "But the scout ships already here could attack at any time." Around the world, humanity mobilized with unprecedented unity and speed. In factories from Detroit to Shanghai, production lines switched from cars to weapons. University laboratories worked around the clock studying the alien technology recovered from the damaged scout ship. Olivia Garcia, a brilliant engineer from Mexico City, led a team adapting the alien tech. "Their biological components are the key," she explained to a group of scientists. "They've evolved their technology to work with their bodies. It's both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness." In military bases across the globe, soldiers trained for a war unlike any they had fought before. General Ryan Kim oversaw the biggest military mobilization in human history. "We can't match their strength or their technology," he told his international team of officers. "But we have something they don't expect: creativity. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to be unpredictable." Millions of light years away on the Vexari homeworld, Commander Xark stood before the High Command. His wounds from the battle with the human ship had healed, but his pride had not. "These humans are different," he insisted to the circle of elder Vexari, their scales duller with age but their eyes still sharp with hunger. "They detected us through our cloaking. They damaged our ship. They fought back." High Commander Vex Thule, the oldest and largest of the Vexari, let out a dismissive growl. "One lucky shot from one small ship does not make these creatures a threat. Your failure is noted, Commander Kazark. My failure may have saved countless Vexari lives, Kazark argued. A dangerous breach of protocol. If we treat this species like any other, we will suffer losses we have not experienced in generations. The High Command chamber fell silent at this outburst. Challenging the assessment of a superior could result in being consumed. The Vexari, way of removing failure from their ranks. Vexthul rose to his full height, towering over Kazark. You have grown soft, Commander. Perhaps too many easy conquests have dulled your predator instincts. The main fleet will proceed as planned. These humans will be assessed, harvested, and consumed like all the others. Kazark lowered his head in submission, but his mind raced. The Vexari had never encountered a species that thought like humans did. For the first time in his long career as a conqueror, Kazark felt something alien to his kind. Doubt. Back on Earth, President Howard addressed the world in a historic broadcast. Billions watched as she revealed the full truth about the alien threat. Citizens of Earth, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. We face the greatest challenge in human history. An alien species called the Vexari has targeted our planet. They have conquered many worlds before ours, and they believe we will be an easy victory. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They are wrong. Humanity has never united before, as we are uniting now. We have never faced a common enemy of this magnitude, but make no mistake, while they see us as prey, they will learn that humans are not easy to hunt. Across Earth, people listened with fear, but also determination. In homes, schools, factories, and military bases, humanity prepared for a war that would determine their very survival. The predators were coming, but for the first time in galactic history, the prey was ready to fight back. The sky over New York City turned dark as the massive Vexari ships broke through the clouds. People ran screaming through the streets as strange pods rained down from above. The invasion of Earth had begun. Frank Diaz, a police officer for 15 years, guided terrified civilians toward subway entrances. Keep moving, get underground, he shouted, his service weapon drawn though he knew it would likely be useless against the aliens. One of the pods crashed nearby, cracking open to reveal 3 tall reptilian figures. Their scaled skin gleamed in the morning sun as they stepped out, each easily 7 feet tall with powerful limbs and razor-sharp claws. They carried devices that looked like guns but with organic components. Prey, one of them hissed, pointing the weapon at a group of frozen civilians. Frank fired his gun, but the bullets bounced off the alien's tough hide. The lead Vexari turned toward him and fired its weapon. Instead of a bullet or laser beam, a cloud of green mist sprayed out. The civilians caught in it immediately collapsed, paralyzed but conscious, their eyes wide with terror. Frank rolled behind a car, narrowly avoiding the spray. He grabbed his radio. Dispatch! They're using some kind of paralytic agent. Bullets. Don't work. As he watched, the Vexari began dragging the paralyzed humans toward their pod. Frank noticed something strange. An elderly woman who had been caught in the spray was slowly moving her fingers. She had been taking medicine when the attack happened and an epinephrine pen had fallen nearby. Frank connected the dots. Adrenaline, he whispered. He quickly called in his discovery as he backed away to help other civilians. Within hours, emergency services across the world distributed adrenaline shots to counteract the Vexari paralytic agent. It wasn't perfect, but it gave humans a fighting chance to escape. Similar scenes played out in cities around the world. The Vexari invasion plan followed their standard protocol, paralyze the population, load them onto ships, and process them for consumption. But everywhere they went, they encountered unexpected resistance. In rural Montana, Maria Gonzalez, a local hunting guide, watched from the forest edge as a Vexari patrol moved through a small town. Unlike most people, she didn't run. Instead, she observed, noting how the aliens moved, where they looked, and when they seemed most alert. Maria gathered a group of locals, farmers, hunters, and a few veterans. They're predators, she explained. They rely on their strength and their senses, but every predator has blind spots. The next day, when the Vexari patrol returned, they walked into an ambush. Maria and her makeshift militia had set traps using hunting techniques passed down for generations. They attacked from multiple angles, aiming for the joints and eyes where the alien scales seemed thinner. 3 Vexari fell before the others retreated, stunned by the organized resistance from what they had considered easy prey. In the laboratories of the Earth Defense Initiative, Dr. Alice Winters made a breakthrough. She had been studying Vexari biology from the remains of those killed in battle. Their hearing range is much wider than ours, she explained to a team of military scientists. They evolved as hunters, so they can hear frequencies we can't, but that makes them vulnerable. Within days, EDI teams equipped special forces with sonic weapons, tuned to frequencies that disoriented the Vexari without affecting humans. In Chicago, Captain Eric Johnson led a SEAL team armed with these new weapons into a Vexari processing center. The result was immediate. When the sonic weapons activated, the Vexari warriors dropped to their knees, clutching their heads in pain. Captain Johnson's team moved through the facility, freeing hundreds of captured humans before destroying the building. They thought we were just prey, Johnson told his team afterward. They didn't expect prey to fight back like this. In orbit above Earth, the first major space battle began. The USS Defiance, a former research vessel hastily retrofitted with technology reverse-engineered from Vexari scout ships, approached the alien fleet. Commander Diane Scott stood on the bridge, her expression determined. All hands, battle stations. Remember your training. The Vexari dreadnought dwarfed the human ship, but Commander Scott had studied ancient naval warfare, specifically how smaller vessels had defeated larger ones throughout human history. Full power to forward shields, she ordered. Prepare for attack pattern Delta. The Defiance darted toward the massive alien ship, moving erratically in a way the Vexari targeting systems couldn't predict. Human weapons, enhanced with Vexari technology, struck key points on the dreadnought. The alien ship returned fire, but Commander Scott had positioned the Defiance in the dreadnought's blind spot, a tactic from submarine warfare that no spacefaring species would think to use. They've never fought anyone who thinks like we do, she told her crew. They've evolved as predators, but humans evolved as both predator and prey. We know both sides of the hunt. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the Vexari dreadnought drifted powerless in orbit, and the Defiance had suffered damage but remained operational. It was the first major victory for humanity in space. High Commander Vex Thule received the reports from Earth with growing rage. Half his invasion fleet had been destroyed or disabled. Ground forces were meeting fierce resistance. The paralytic weapons that had subdued dozens of species were being countered. How is this possible? He demanded of his war council. They are physically inferior. Their technology is primitive. Commander Xark, who had warned of the humans' capabilities, spoke carefully. They think differently, High Commander. They adapt faster than any species we've encountered, and they work together in ways we don't understand. Vex Thule slammed, his clawed fist on the table. They are food, not equals. I will lead the next wave myself. We will not be defeated by prey. But as he issued orders for a larger invasion force, an uncomfortable feeling grew within him, one that no Vexari had experienced in thousands of years of conquest. Doubt. Back on Earth, despite the victories, the cost had been high. Millions were dead or captured. Cities lay in ruins. But humanity had done what the Vexari thought impossible. They had survived the first wave of the invasion. In a bunker beneath what remained of Washington, D.C., President Howard met with the EDI leadership. The room was filled with maps, screens showing battle reports, and tired but determined faces. We've proven we can fight them, she said. Now we need to prove we can win. Admiral Carter nodded. We've studied their attack patterns now. They're predictable. They've never needed to change tactics before, but we have something they don't. What's that? Asked General Kim. A history of fighting amongst ourselves, the Admiral answered grimly. Thousands of years of warfare have taught humans how to outthink enemies. Now we use that knowledge against them. As the meeting continued, the first reports came in of Vexari ships retreating from Earth orbit. The predators were pulling back to regroup, giving humanity precious time to prepare for the next phase of the war. For the first time since the invasion began, there was hope. The hunters had become uncertain, and the hunted had shown their teeth. 1 year after the first Vexari attack, Earth looked very different. Cities had built massive shield generators. Military bases dotted landscapes that once held farms or parks. Every human old enough to hold a weapon had learned basic defense, tactics. In a small lab at MIT, Kevin Wright stared at his computer screen. The 22-year-old college student had always been good with patterns. When the war started, he joined a team analyzing Vexari attack strategies. "I think I've got something," he told his professor, pushing his glasses up his nose. "They always attack in the same sequence, like they're following a playbook they've used for thousands of years." Kevin's algorithm predicted Vexari movements, with 87% accuracy. Within weeks, defense forces around the world were using it to prepare for attacks before they happened. The Vexari couldn't understand how the humans always seemed to know where they would strike next. In Florida, retired engineer Linda Nelson worked with a team to improve shield technology. At 68, she had been ready for a quiet retirement before the invasion. "The Vexari shields are biological, not just mechanical," she explained to military officials. "They adapt to energy weapons, but they're vulnerable to rapidly changing frequencies." Linda's shield generator design could protect entire cities. When the Vexari attacked San Francisco with their most powerful weapons, the shields held. The aliens retreated in confusion, unable to comprehend how their prey had developed technology that had taken the Vexari centuries to perfect. The global economy had transformed completely to support the war effort. Car factories now produced armored vehicles. Clothing manufacturers made specialized protective gear. Pharmaceutical companies created medicines to counter Vexari biological weapons. What amazed visiting military officials from around the world was the speed of innovation. Humans improved their weapons and defenses weekly, sometimes daily. Ideas spread rapidly, with scientists and engineers sharing breakthroughs instantly across global networks. This pace of adaptation confused the Vexari, who had evolved in a society where change happened slowly over generations. They couldn't understand how a species could learn and improve so quickly. In Paris, the Vexari launched a massive attack, hoping to break human morale by destroying a cultural center. They succeeded in breaching the city's defenses, and the Eiffel Tower fell amid clouds of smoke and fire. The response was not what the Vexari expected. Instead of fear, the attack sparked fury. Within hours, a coordinated global counterattack began. Human forces struck Vexari bases around the world simultaneously. Using the attack patterns Kevin had predicted, Admiral Diane Scott, now in command of Earth's growing space fleet, led a daring assault on the Vexari command ship in orbit. Using tactics inspired by ancient pirates, striking fast, causing confusion, and disappearing before the enemy could respond, her ships inflicted heavy damage before retreating. "They still think like predators," she told her crew. "They expect prey to run or freeze. They don't expect us to turn and fight on our terms." The Vexari, facing unprecedented losses, grew desperate. High Commander Vexthul ordered attacks on civilian targets, hoping to break human will. But each attack only strengthened Earth's resolve. Commander Kazark, watching from his ship, saw what his leaders could not. "They don't understand humans," he told his second-in-command privately. "Every time we hurt them, they become stronger, more united." As a veteran of many conquest campaigns, Kazark recognized something his superiors refused to see. The Vexari were losing this war, not because humans were physically stronger, but because they adapted faster than any species the Vexari had ever encountered. On Earth, Admiral Scott proposed a bold plan to the Earth Defense Council. "We've been playing defense long enough. It's time to take the fight to them." Her plan was daring. Use captured Vexari ships to travel to one of their nearby colony worlds. A small team would gather intelligence about Vexari society and search for weaknesses. "It's dangerous," President Howard warned. "If you're captured, there's no rescue possible." Admiral Scott nodded. We understand the risks, Madam President, but we need to know more about them if we're going to end this war. The mission was approved. Using 3 captured Vexari scouts, a joint military scientific team left Earth's solar system, the first humans to travel to another star. After 3 weeks of faster-than-light travel, the human expedition reached the Vexari colony world of Corvus. From orbit, they could see a planet transformed by Vexari occupation, vast processing centers where captured species were held before being transported to the Vexari homeworld. Scientist Greg Patterson led the research team that secretly landed on the surface. What they discovered horrified even the battle-hardened soldiers accompanying them. They're not just predators, Patterson reported back to the orbiting ship. They're collectors. They're storing genetic material from every species they've conquered. In a massive underground facility, the humans found thousands of containers holding DNA samples from species long extinct, civilizations the Vexari had completely consumed. This explains their technological development, Patterson continued. They don't invent, they harvest. They take the best adaptations from each species they conquer and incorporate them into their own biology. This revelation changed everything. The team gathered all the data they could before returning to their ships and beginning the journey home. On Earth, Dr. Alice Winters made her own discovery while studying captured Vexari. She had noticed strange cellular structures that didn't match the rest of their biology. They're parasites, she announced to the stunned Earth Defense Council. They don't just eat other species, they incorporate their DNA. That's why their technology seems so advanced, but hasn't progressed in thousands of years. Why innovate when you can simply consume the innovations of others? The implications were enormous. The Vexari weren't just fighting for food, they were fighting for genetic material to enhance themselves. Humanity wasn't just prey, they were a resource to be harvested and absorbed. Admiral Scott's team returned with confirming evidence and something more, the location of the Vexari homeworld. For the first time, Earth's leaders began to consider a strategy beyond mere survival. We need to take this fight to them, General Kim said, pointing to the star map showing the Vexari home system. Not to destroy them, but to force them to recognize us as equals, not food. President Howard looked around the table at the tired but determined faces of Earth's defenders. We've always been explorers as much as warriors. Now we'll be both. Prepare the fleet. As Earth prepared for its most ambitious mission yet, Commander Kazark, now a prisoner of war, made an unexpected offer. I will help you, he told his human captors. My people's way is unsustainable. I've seen how humans fight, not just with weapons, but with ideas. Perhaps it's time for the Vexari to learn a new way to exist in this galaxy. The stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge, taking the fight to the heart of the predator empire that had never known defeat. The journey to the Vexari homeworld took 3 months. Earth's fleet, a mix of human ships and captured Vexari vessels, traveled deeper into the galaxy than any humans had gone before. Admiral Diane Scott stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Defiance, as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vexari home system. My God, she whispered as the main screen showed the space around the Vexari sun. Around her, the bridge crew stared in shocked silence. The system was filled with structures, space stations, shipyards, and orbital habitats larger than Earth. Cities. Thousands of ships moved between them like insects around a hive. Commander Zark, now serving as an advisor to the humans, stood beside Admiral Scott. The heart of our empire, he said quietly, built from the bones of 100 conquered worlds. Admiral Scott turned to her communications officer. Send the message. A transmission went out from the human fleet, broadcasting simultaneously, in all frequencies and languages that the Vexari used. It was simple and direct. Earth proposed peace, not as prey, but as equals. They demanded the release of all captured humans and an end to the harvest of sentient species. The response came swiftly. A massive Vexari dreadnought approached, dwarfing even the largest ships in the human fleet. On the main screen, the scaled face of High Commander Vex Thule appeared, his amber eyes filled with contempt. Prey does not dictate terms to predators, he hissed. Your journey ends here, humans. Your genetic material will strengthen the Vexari for generations to come. Admiral Scott had expected this response. Then we do this the hard way, she said, cutting the transmission. She turned to her tactical officer. Execute Operation Spear. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting different Vexari installations. It seemed suicidal. The Vexari outnumbered them 20-1. But humans had spent 2 years studying Vexari tactics and technology. They knew things about the alien ships that even the Vexari had forgotten. Earth's vessels darted between the slower Vexari ships, using their predictable attack patterns against them. Human weapons targeted specific weak points identified in Vexari design. Each hit was precise and devastating. While the main fleet engaged the Vexari defenses, Admiral Scott led a smaller team toward the planet in a stealth vessel designed using principles learned from Earth's deep-sea submarines. Their target was the Central Hive, the heart of Vexari government and the location of High Commander Vex Thule. Remember, she told her team as they approached the planet, our goal isn't extermination. We're here to force a new understanding. The surface of the Vexari homeworld was a strange mix of technology and biology. Buildings looked as if they had been grown rather than built, with organic shapes and surfaces that pulsed with life. Streets were filled with Vexari of different sizes and colors, the military caste with their dark scales, the worker caste smaller and lighter, and the rare leader caste, larger than the others with vibrant patterns on their hides. Using Xark's knowledge, the human team infiltrated the Central Hive. They moved quietly through corridors that seemed more like arteries than hallways. The few Vexari they encountered were quickly subdued with sonic weapons tuned to frequencies that disrupted their nervous systems without killing them. They reached the central chamber where the High Command gathered. Admiral Scott gave the signal, and flashbang grenades designed specifically for Vexari sensory systems went off, temporarily blinding and deafening the alien leaders. When the High Command regained their senses, they found themselves surrounded by armed humans. High Commander Vex Thule roared with fury but stopped when he saw Commander Xark among the humans. Traitor, he snarled. You side with prey against your own kind? Xark stepped forward. They are not prey, High Commander. They are the future. I have learned more from humans in 2 years than in centuries among our own people. Admiral Scott approached Vex Thule without fear, looking up at the massive predator. You've conquered hundreds of worlds because those species weren't ready for you. We were. Humans evolved differently than any species you've encountered. As prey, Vex Thule spat. As persistence hunters, Scott corrected him. On Earth, early humans didn't have claws or fangs or poison. We had endurance. We would chase prey for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We learned patience, adaptation, and cooperation. She gestured to her team. We're not stronger than you individually, but together, we're something you've never faced before. At that moment, reports came in from space. The human fleet had disabled the Vexari defense network using strategies no predator would consider, sacrificing positions to gain advantages, using smaller ships to protect larger ones, coordinating in ways the hierarchical Vexari couldn't understand. You have a choice, Admiral Scott told Vex Thule. Continue this war and watch your empire crumble, or recognize that the galaxy has changed. The age of the predator is over. For the first time in his long life, Vex Thule felt something new, respect for prey. He looked at the humans surrounding him, seeing not food but equals. What do you propose, human? He asked, his voice lower. 1 year later, Earth hosted the first Galactic Concord Summit. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. Some were former victims of Vexari conquest, now free for the first time in generations. Others were species that had hidden from the predators, emerging now that the galaxy was changing. President Samantha Howard stood at the podium with Commander Xark, now Ambassador Xark, beside her. Together they signed the historic treaty, establishing new laws for interspecies relations. The most important, no sentient species would be prey for another. Today marks the beginning of a new era, President Howard said to the assembled delegates. Humanity's journey to the stars began with conflict, but it continues in peace. In the audience, Lieutenant Jack Freeman, now a diplomat and Earth's representative to the conquered, listened with pride. His small act of defiance against the Vexari scout ship had triggered a chain of events that transformed the galaxy. After the ceremony, Jack spoke with Ambassador Kazark. "Did you ever imagine it would end this way?" Jack asked the former Vexari commander. Kazark's mouth formed what humans now recognized as a smile. "Never. My people thought nothing could challenge us until we met humans. You taught us something we had forgotten in our millennia as predators." "What's that?" Jack asked. "That true strength comes not from consuming others but from growing together," Kazark replied. "The Vexari feared nothing until we encountered humanity, and humanity's greatest gift to us wasn't defeating us. It was showing us a better way to exist among the stars." As the sun set over New York, ships from a dozen worlds orbited peacefully above. The galaxy had changed forever because one species had refused to be prey, and in doing so, had freed predator and prey alike from an endless cycle of consumption. The hunters had become builders. The hunted had become teachers. And together, they looked toward a future where strength came from cooperation rather than conquest.